In the mountainous regions of Guizhou, there seem to be many unfinished abandoned buildings. These areas, originally planned for tourism development or real estate projects, were mostly halted due to funding shortages. Some stopped because of policy changes or sudden withdrawal of investment by developers. These buildings are often located in scenic but sparsely populated areas. Over time, however, they become slowly overtaken by trees and plants, their walls eroded by wind and rain, with discarded items left scattered inside, as if time itself has been frozen within them. Some adventurers or thrill seekers are drawn to these places. Today's story is about something that happened in one such abandoned building hidden among the mountains of Guizhou. Last winter break, a fan Xiaowei and 3 friends went wandering in a mountainous area of Guizhou. By chance, they stumbled upon an abandoned, unfinished building. Whether driven by excitement or curiosity, the group decided to sneak into the building at night to play a game of hide-and-seek in the dark, a test of courage. But none of them could have predicted that this game would gradually spiral into something bizarre. In this desolate, mysterious building, things were far from peaceful. Strange, cluttered objects inside, terrifying shadows in the darkness, and even a half-face that appeared out of nowhere. It seemed there was something else present in that place. In Xiaowei's submission, they mentioned that this was an experience from last winter break, and it was from this moment that they began to believe there might be things in this world that science cannot explain. Xiaowei, a native of Guizhou, had just started her winter break, with everyone about to visit relatives for the new year. She wanted to hang out with her classmates one last time, but in Guizhou, it's just mountains upon mountains, and there wasn't much fun to be had. So, Xiaowei and 3 classmates began wandering in a mountainous area. After wandering for who knows how long, the 4 of them suddenly spotted an abandoned building ahead. First, they didn't think much of it, but then someone nobody remembers who suggested, "I have an idea. Since we've got nothing to do, why don't we play hide and seek inside?" Everyone thought it was a great idea, better than aimlessly wandering around. They walked into the building and found it filled with debris and clutter, perfect for hiding. With over a dozen floors, it was like a natural maze. So they agreed to prepare and come back the next day to play. Back home, the 4 of them discussed what time to meet the next day. Xiao B and Xiao C suggested going during the day, worried that it would be too dark at night and something could go wrong. But Xiao A and Xiao D argued that playing hide and seek in the daytime would make it too easy to be found. Wearing dark clothes at night would be better for hiding. Xiao A suggested bringing flashlights so they could play at night. After some debate, Xiao B and Xiao C gave in, agreeing to go at night. The next morning, the weather was colder than usual, with a biting chill. Xiao Wei lied to her family, saying she was going to her uncle's house that evening and wouldn't be back for dinner. Little did she know, this lie would lead her to experience something utterly terrifying. The 4 gathered, idling through the day waiting for nightfall, and so it began. Finally, as evening arrived, the 4 met in front of the abandoned building. They played rock, paper, scissors to decide who would be the seeker, and Xiao B was chosen. It was still a bit light out, so they started the game right away. The rules were simple. Not everyone would hide on the same floor. Each person would hide on a different floor. Xiao D hid on the first floor, Xiao A on the second, and Xiao C on the third. At the start, Xiao A chose to hide in a pile of rocks in a small room on the second floor. Not long after, they heard running footsteps from the third floor. Xiao A knew Xiao C had probably been found. Soon, Xiao C and Xiao B came to the second floor to look for Xiao A. Xiao A squeezed deeper into the rock pile, but the texture underfoot felt strange, though they didn't think much of it at the time. As Xiao B and Xiao C got closer, Xiao A realized staying there would get them caught, so they quietly moved toward the balcony nearby. However, Xiao A didn't notice a rope on the floor and nearly tripped, but luckily, a railing saved them from falling. At the time, they didn't think much of it, just focused on not getting caught. By now, the sky had completely darkened, and with Xiao A wearing dark clothes, Xiao C and Xiao B didn't spot them right away when they entered the room. After searching for a while without finding Xiao, they gave up and moved on. But as Xiao listened to their footsteps, they felt an odd sensation, as if there was someone else on the second floor. Besides Xiao C and Xiao B, Xiao stayed hidden until the round ended, not moving until they got a message saying Xiao D had been found. Only then did Xiao A emerge. Everyone was curious about where Xiao A had been hiding, some even suspecting they cheated because they couldn't find them. Xiao A just smiled and didn't reveal much about their hiding spot. Soon the second round began. This time Xiao C, who was found first in the last round, was the seeker. Xiao A chose the same balcony to hide on. While crouching there, they noticed the rope that had tripped them earlier. It looked like a jump rope, still in decent condition. Thinking it might be useful, Xiao A folded it up and put it in their pocket. Not long after, running footsteps echoed from upstairs. Xiao D had likely been found. Xiao A tucked themselves deeper into the corner of the balcony. Xiao C and Xiao D's footsteps approached, but even though they came onto the balcony, they still didn't see Xiao. So far nothing strange had happened. As they headed downstairs, they were still joking about how Xiao A was too dark to find. Soon they found Xiao B, and Xiao Wei won again. By the third round, Xiao A was hiding on the third floor, choosing a corner where they'd be nearly invisible unless someone looked closely. It was drafty and cold, and for some reason, a fog began to rise around them. Though surprised, Xiao A thought it might help them stay hidden, and didn't think much else of it. Then they heard Xiao D's footsteps upstairs. Xiao A found it odd. They were on the third floor. So why was Xiao D running around on the fourth floor looking for someone? Who was he looking for? As Xiao A pondered this, the footsteps upstairs suddenly stopped, only to be followed by rapid running down the stairs, frantic as if someone was fleeing. Xiao A didn't think much of it and stayed put. Then they heard Xiao B and Xiao C's voices from downstairs, assuming the three would soon come up to find them. Suddenly, the three turned off their flashlights, plunging the surroundings into pitch-black darkness. Their voices grew fainter, as if they were moving away. But then, new footsteps echoed near the staircase. Xiao A wondered if they had come back. But something was off. There were only footsteps. No talking, no flashlight beams. The three were searching in complete silence. In the darkness, Xiao A couldn't see clearly. Peering out, they could only make out three vague shapes, wriggling in the dark, not quite human. As the footsteps grew closer, Xiao A held their breath, hiding as best they could. Suddenly, the footsteps stopped right in front of them, and an icy hand touched their shoulder. Startled, Xiao A blurted out, "Can't you just say you found me instead of scaring me like that?" Getting no response, they assumed the others had started a new round of hiding. So Xiao A went up to the fourth floor to count and then to the third to search. With their flashlight on, Xiao A searched for a while but found no one. As they approached their previous hiding spot, they heard faint footsteps crunching on gravel behind them. They crept toward the sound, but there was no one there. Xiao A began to feel uneasy. Why wasn't anyone talking? Even after being found, no one said a word. Now, with the fog thickening and the darkness impenetrable, Xiao A decided to head to the second floor to search. Just as they descended the stairs, they saw a shadow on their left dark back. They rushed to check, but no one was there. By now, Xiao A's nerves were fraying. Even if the others were good at hiding, how could they disappear so quickly right under their nose? Xiao A pulled out their phone to check the time, and their hair stood on end. Their phone was set to Do Not Disturb, so notifications wouldn't come through, but the screen would still light up. There, on the screen, were messages from the three others. "Where are you? Why aren't you answering our calls? Where are you at?" Xiao A froze, slowly turning their head toward where they'd just seen the shadow, shining their phone's flashlight in that direction. If their friends' voices had been moving away earlier, it meant they had actually left. So who had been searching for Xiao A just now? And who was hiding now? Terrified, Xiao A didn't dare move, backing slowly against a wall. Their friends had the flashlights, so Xiao A was using their phone's light, which didn't illuminate much. Their heart raced, their breathing grew heavy, and their legs trembled. They frantically texted their friends to come find them, sending the message repeatedly. As they typed, the sound of gravel crunching underfoot echoed again. Xiao knew something else was in that dark room with them. They edged toward a corner, staying alert, watching the darkness. Every now and then, something would clatter to the ground. Tears welled in Xiao's eyes. Then from upstairs came the sound of something being dragged along the wall, faint but just audible. Xiao's body shook with fear. Checking their phone, they saw their messages had all failed to send. Desperate, they tried again, but still no luck. Tears streamed down their face. The dragging sound upstairs stopped, replaced by the sound of pebbles falling near the staircase. The fog grew thicker. Staring into the darkness, Xiao realized why fear of the unknown is so paralyzing. They regretted their decision to come here. Not daring to make a sound, they feared any noise might disturb whatever was out there. The noises in the room and on the stairs stopped, but the silence was even more unsettling, as if Xiao had gone deaf. Deciding to make a run for it, they were interrupted by footsteps from downstairs. Not their friends' footsteps, but a dragging sound like feet scraping against stone. Xiao felt they were losing their mind. If they didn't act, something terrible would happen. Looking down, they saw the building's first floor was actually a basement level, but there was a platform they could jump to from the first floor. Their body refused to move, though. Checking the time, they realized only 10 minutes had passed. With effort, Xiao stood and shuffled toward the staircase. As they reached it and turned back with their phone's light, they saw the shadow in the room again, cast on the floor. Nearly collapsing, they bolted downstairs, jumped from the platform, and felt their feet go numb from the impact. Crawling and stumbling, they made it to the entrance, only to find their 3 friends gone. Xiao doesn't know how they got home. Even now, recalling the feeling of escaping that building feels surreal. Back home, they didn't dare tell their parents, thinking that as long as they never went back, everything would be fine. That night, they slept with the light on and earphones in. In the middle of the night, they woke feeling suffocated, their room pitch black. Turning on the light, they were horrified to find their earphone cord wrapped tightly around their neck. The next morning, they asked their parents if they'd turned off the room's light. They said yes, and Xiao rationalized that the cord must have tangled while they were sleeping restlessly. They tried to find logical explanations for everything. Calling their 3 friends, Xiao asked why they left without waiting or looking for them. Xiao Di explained that something felt off while he was hiding. It was dark, foggy, and eerie, so he sent messages to everyone. Xiao Bi and Xiao Si responded and met up, but Xiao never showed up. They waited outside for a long time, called Xiao repeatedly with no answer, and even called Xiao's mom, who said Xiao was at her uncle's for dinner. They thought Xiao had left them behind. Xiao regretted the lie they'd told their family. Not wanting to dwell on it, they simply warned their friends not to go back to that building. Xiao Di then admitted he'd accidentally gone to the 4th floor at first, where he kept hearing breathing sounds. He didn't realize he was on the wrong floor until he saw the floor marker, then got spooked and ran down after messaging everyone. Xiao Bi said they felt like someone was behind them while searching, especially on the 2nd floor. Xiao Si mentioned hearing dragging sounds but brushed it off. Realizing they all had strange experiences, Xiao shared their own story. The others fell silent. Xiao Bi spoke up, saying if their experiences were real, the place might truly be haunted. He recalled seeing what looked like half a face peering out from the 3rd floor balcony as they left, though he wasn't sure because of the darkness and fog. After that, the 4 agreed never to go back, and not to tell their parents, fearing a scolding. Later, when Xiao went to the bathroom, they found the jump rope from the building still in their pocket. Panicked, they threw it into a storage room. That night, Xiao dreamt they were buried alive in a coffin, struggling in vain. Waking up, they found their head trapped under the blanket, explaining the suffocating feeling. Every little thing now reminded them of the abandoned building. Fearing they'd go mad, Xiao met up with their friends again, and visited a temple to pray before parting ways. That evening, while gaming at home, Xiao heard small particles hitting the window. Assuming it was rain, they ignored it. 2 hours later, they checked and found it wasn't raining. Confused, they opened the window but saw nothing unusual. That night, getting up to use the bathroom, they stepped on something sharp in their slipper. 2 small sharp stones that cut their foot. Staring at the stones, their mind flashed back to the building. Fearing infection, they had their parents take them to the hospital. But on the way, a tire burst after hitting something sharp. By the time they reached the hospital, the wound was infected. In the hospital, with their foot bandaged heavily, Xiao was terrified. They asked a friend to bring them a protective charm the next day. The next morning, their foot throbbed painfully, and the bandages had come loose. Their father went to find a rope to secure it, and to Xiao's horror, he brought the jump rope from the building. Seeing it tied around their foot made them deeply uneasy, regretting ever taking it home. That evening, alone at home with the lights off, Xiao called their friends to chat. But as it got late, only one friend remained on the call. They begged him to stay until their parents returned, but he said his parents were taking his phone. He promised to bring the charm the next day. After hanging up, Xiao turned on all the lights, their mind drifting back to the building. If they hadn't gone there, would any of this have happened? As they thought, the sound of a light switch being turned off came from outside their bedroom. Their nerves on edge, they called their parents, saying someone had broken into the house since claiming ghosts wouldn't work. Their parents rushed home. Xiao locked their bedroom door and listened. Footsteps entered their parents' room, followed by a dragging sound, the same sound from the building. Turning around, Xiao nearly screamed. At the window, just a bed's length away, was half a face staring at them. They locked eyes, Xiao unsure how long it had been watching. Their ears rang louder and louder. They didn't know when the face disappeared. When their parents returned, Xiao told them everything. Naturally, they scolded her. But despite it being the middle of the night, they took her to a temple. The monk there said something shocking. Let things take their course, don't interfere. When pressed, he was vague, and Xiao realized he might be a fraud. They tried another temple, but the monk there was equally unhelpful. Frustrated, Xiao decided to go home, their injured leg making movement difficult. The next morning, Xiao Di brought the protective charm. After some small talk, he left. Xiao's mother then took her to a local master with some reputation, though his story seemed dubious. Xiao let him examine their foot and vaguely describe their experiences, testing his insight. His responses were ambiguous, and when pressed for solutions, he fumbled. Annoyed, Xiao left, their injured foot aching from the effort. On the way home, Xiao wondered if these events were real. If they were, why couldn't anyone explain them? If they weren't, what was last night's encounter? Clutching the charm tightly, they went to their uncle's house as their parents continued seeking help. Arriving around 3 p.m., it was cold outside. Passing their own house, Xiao glanced at their window and saw pebbles scattered beneath it. Realizing those were likely the sounds from the previous night, they wondered if that half-face had been watching and tapping for hours. The fear wasn't from the cold anymore but from the place itself. At their uncle's, they ate and stayed the night, still shaken. Looking at their injured foot, they thought of the dragging sounds from the building, feeling more uneasy. That night, Xiao dreamt they were at their house's entrance. Hearing their parents' screams, they dragged their injured foot inside. Finding the house dark, rushing to their parents' room, they found it empty. Looking toward the living room, they saw light spilling from under their own bedroom door. Confused, they woke up. Their uncle called them to say their parents had arrived. Walking to their parents' car, Xiao suddenly lost all feeling in their left leg and collapsed to one knee. Their parents rushed to help, but as they approached, a car ran over Xiao's left leg. The next thing they knew, they were in the hospital. Their mother was crying. Looking down, Xiao saw their left calf had been amputated. Their mind went blank. The doctor explained the leg was too severely crushed to save. Xiao was furious. Why did a simple game lead to this? After leaving the hospital, no more strange incidents occurred. Xiao thought maybe losing their leg had settled whatever curse lingered. But when school started, they saw a news article that chilled them to the bone. In the same abandoned building, police had found a dismembered male body, buried in the second-floor rock pile, the exact spot where Xiao had hidden. The report said the man had been strangled with a rope. Before being dismembered, Xiao realized they had been crouching on that body and had taken the murder weapon, the jump rope, home. They had played hide-and-seek alone in the dark with that presence. Their scalp prickled and they vomited. Later, Xiao found the protective charm they'd left at their uncle's. The incident seemed to fade. Jokingly, Xiao called their friends, asking who suggested hide and seek since it cost them their leg. To their shock, all three denied suggesting it. Xiao insisted they'd heard someone propose it, and the others had agreed. The call fell silent. No one dared think further. Since then, no more strange events occurred. But Xiao still doesn't understand why they suffered such a punishment. They sleep with the light on, waking at the slightest sound, feeling like someone is watching from a corner, a sensation that lingers. Perhaps in our daily lives, there are things yet to be discovered.